What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Just, back again with another video. This is your one-stop shop for anime and manga. Let's get into it. Real quick, if you like what I'm doing, if you enjoy my content, consider subscribing, leaving a like, hit the bell so you know I post another video. Now, let's get into it. As you can see by the title, we're going to be discussing the Admirals of One Piece. So, real quick, if you haven't read One Piece, if you're not caught up with the manga, leave now. This is your official spoiler warning. We are going to talk about the Admiral that has not been released in the anime. He has been released in the manga, and we've seen some of his power. We know what he can do, roughly. So, we're going to be discussing all three Admirals. Definitely leave right now. I'll give you a second. Alright, now let's get into the video. Obviously, we know the Admirals are the three strongest in the Marines for the One Piece world, but the only person that's above them is the Fleet Admiral. Currently, the three active Admirals right now in the One Piece world are Kizaru, Fujitora, and Aramaki. I am sorry, I butchered those names. I cannot pronounce those names for nothing. I usually go by talking about their powers. That's how I refer to a lot of people in the One Piece world, is that I'll go, I'm talking about the light guy, I'm talking about the gravity guy, and most people will understand who I'm talking about when I refer to the Admirals. Obviously, for this video, I'm not going to be referring to them like that because it could get a little confusing. So I'm going to try my best to say their names as much as I can. But do not crucify me. I'm trying my best. Japanese is by no means a language that I'm fluent in. I'm not really good at power scaling or nothing like that. This is just what I think about how strong are the Admirals. And the Admirals are a little tricky because they're part of the Marines. And we've seen everyone else just incredibly powerful. We've seen how strong they can be. And the Admirals were introduced pretty early. Not these three specific Admirals, but Admirals in general, so we know how strong they are roughly. Let's start with the one that we all know. If you watch the anime, you definitely know who he is. And he's probably my favorite Admiral besides Akoji, and that's Kizaru. Kizaru has the Pika Pika no Mi, which lets him turn his body into light. That devil fruit is a Logia type, so he can just freely manipulate his body into light as he pleases. Personally, I think Kizaru is probably one of the strongest people in the entire One Piece world, for the simple fact that he is so fast and his lasers are so destructive. He can produce light and shoot lasers from anywhere in his body, and that's essentially what he can do. He can travel at light speed, he can travel through reflections. When people attack him, his reflexes are fast enough where he can just turn his body into light and avoid the attacks. Like other devil fruits though, because he's a Logia type, he can easily be defeated with Haki, but he's so fast that people don't really get a chance to touch him with Haki. And he was one of the Admirals that fought in Marineford, and he's definitely up there with the strongest because he can hold his own with the Yonko. Because he's moving at the speed of light, he can just blitz anyone he wants. He can attack them multiple times without them even noticing. And if he's fighting in a place where there's different reflections, he can travel freely through those reflections at the speed of light again and just wipe out anyone he wants. The only people that I can see him having a trouble with is probably some of the higher tier Yonko. And as far as the Yonko currently, we do know it's Buggy, Luffy, Shanks, and Blackbeard. I don't really think any of the Admirals are on that Yonko level. Like, I don't believe any of the Admirals can really go one-on-one with Shanks or probably go one-on-one with Blackbeard, especially since Blackbeard has Whitebeard's power as well. But if any of the Admirals could put up a decent fight, it would have to be Kizaru because, like I said, he's so fast. I'm thinking he's probably strong enough to resist Shanks' Conqueror Haki. I would like to see him fight Blackbeard because I want to see how that's going to work, being that Blackbeard can nullify other people's devil fruits. Kizaru will obviously probably get curb stomped by Luffy, mainly because he's the protagonist and also because he's awakened. So because of that, I don't see him really going to be able to put up a fight against Luffy because Luffy can just change the world around him, basically make it into a cartoon, changing everything into rubber or whatever, the way he can do it. He pretty much has free reign to do whatever he wants while he's awakened. Obviously, Kizaru's going to damn near kill Buggy, which is sad to me because Buggy is one of my favorite characters. I love the fact that he became a Yonko. I love the way he became a Yonko, but he's not up there with that power. Like I said, Kizaru's really the only one I think who can put up a fight with the current Yonko as it is because of his devil fruit, how powerful it is. I honestly believe Kizaru has probably the strongest devil fruit out there, and I don't even think he's awakened yet, so that's definitely scary. The next Admiral we're going to be talking about is Fujitora, and he has the Zushi no Mi. Fujitora basically has the ability to control gravity. He can control gravity to wherever he wants, up, down, left, right, whatever he pleases. That's where gravity's gonna go. Being able to freely control gravity, he's able to completely repel other attacks because he just changes the gravitational pull around them. And that's just incredible, amazing. But I don't think he's really that powerful when you come down to it. Yes, his Devil Fruit is pretty strong because he can manipulate the gravity. But once you get strong enough to do that, or if you get close enough or blitz him fast enough, he won't really have time to do that because he's a Paramecia type. He's not a Logia type like the other two Admirals on this list. We were introduced to the Admirals during the early days of One Piece, and we assumed that they were the strongest because we saw the 7 Warlords of the Sea. And at the time, they were pretty on par with the 7 Warlords. I know the 7 Warlords have been disbanded, but Admirals are usually at that level, I would say. They're not really on that Yonko level because, as you saw with Marineford, when Shanks came, he ended the war just by showing up. He didn't have to fight. He didn't have to do anything. He just showed up and the war was over. And that shows the amount of respect that the Admirals have for Shanks and have for the other Yonko. If you were to put Fujitora up against someone like Blackbeard, I think he would just get wrecked because there's not much he can do. Blackbeard could most likely stop the gravitational forces because it's ground level. So he makes this gravitational field and that's what stops you. Blackbeard can nullify all of that by using his Devil Fruit. As far as with Shanks is just insanely powerful. We don't really know much about him. We've never seen him fight. We don't know much. We just know that his Conqueror's Haki is to the point where people can feel it who are on a different island. And that's just incredible. I think his Conqueror's Haki would be too much for Fujitora, and he's definitely going to get worked. I don't think Fujitora has the capability of even fighting some of the Yonko. He may defeat Buggy, but obviously we know Buggy isn't really a Yonko. As far as Luffy, he may have some trouble in the beginning, but once he awakens, he's going to be able to do whatever he wants. Fujitora is not going to be able to stand a chance. He doesn't have that many big moves that he can do. He is a very powerful person, don't get me wrong. The Admirals are by no means weak. I'm comparing them to people like the Yonko and some of the upper echelon people who are just crazy in the One Piece world. If the Admirals were fighting anyone else, they would win. The Yonko are the Yonko for that reason. They're the 4 strongest people in the world, and that's who they are. So the Admirals can't really fight up against them, but the Admirals are stronger than everyone below that, if that makes sense. The last and final Admiral we're going to be discussing, and the last one to be revealed in the manga, is Aramaki, and he has the Mori Mori no Mi. The Mori Mori no Mi basically lets him become a plant. He can control all plant life, all living things like that, and he just becomes a tree, essentially. I like that because he's a Logia type, so when he fights, he physically becomes a tree, and there are some weaknesses to that because he can't really have attacks pass through him like everyone else, like Kizaru or like any other Logia types. Because he's made out of a tree, he's going to get taken down, he's going to get broken, he's going to get hurt. Not really hurt, but he's going to feel those impacts. But because he's out of a tree, out of a living thing, he can just regrow the wood and there's no harm to him. He can control all living things. Not all living things, I keep saying that. But like all plant life he can control. He can make a desolate wasteland just blossom with plants. Being that he can control all plant life, he can just blitz you and just constantly grow roots and trees and stuff like that to attack you. And the thing with him is his trees can sap the water out from you. So they basically nearly kill you. They dry you up to like a mummy. The way I think it was Crocodile used to do in Alabasta, he has the ability to do that as well. He obviously has a weakness to fire, but he's trained his body to resist most fire. Unless it's very, very powerful, then he'll start to get hurt. We haven't seen too much of Aramaki. He just showed up in Wano at the ending, so we don't really know much. But I think he's the weakest of the Admirals because he didn't really do much. He showed up, he blitzed everyone, he was taking the water away from everyone, dehydrating everyone. But Momonosuke was able to defeat him by using a crazy borrow breath, and that's just how he did it. So if he can't even fight Momonosuke, how is he going to fight anyone like the Yonko? How is he going to fight Shanks, Blackbeard, even Luffy? So because of that, I don't really think Aramaki's the strongest of the Admirals. The ability to dehydrate anyone he touches is incredible, but other than that, there's no real advantage to him being an Admiral. Now, I will say this, we haven't seen a lot from him, so maybe he can fight a little harder, maybe he could fight stronger, maybe he has other abilities, but as of right now, we don't really know too much, and he got defeated by Momonosuke, whose Devil Fruit is not even real. He is a copy of Kaido's, and if you can't defeat Momonosuke, if you get defeated by a Borrow Breath like that, you're not going to be able to withstand anything that Luffy throws at you, Shanks throws at you, Blackbeard throws at you. All in all, that's my video. I would say the Admirals are about the 7 Wards of the Sea strength, and the only one that has the potential to probably defeat a Yonko is probably Kizaru. But the other two, I don't think they're going to be able to fight the Yonko, especially with One Piece going into the final arc. I don't know how much the Marines are going to really be involved. I think the main problem with the Admirals is the fact that they were introduced way too early in the One Piece story, because they not that strong. They obviously on par with the 7 Wards of the Sea, which are obviously disbanded, like I said. But far from that, they're not nowhere near the Yonko level, and that's what you need when you're supposed to be policing the entire ocean, the entire world. You need to be the strongest of the strong. And right now, the Admirals just aren't. I don't really think they can fight the Yonko besides Kizaru. And that's what I think. That's my thoughts. That's the video. Thank you. If you made it this far, consider subscribing, leaving a like, hit the bell so you know I post another video. This is your boy Just. I'm off this.